the state of Bihar itself is concerned, it does mean for other states and for other governments, because a lot of big political players have seemingly lost relevance after yesterday's verdict. So is that really the case? What is the strategy behind this resignation? We'll be talking about that with Veera Raghav. Veera Raghav, of course, is a familiar face on television and is over here because he's been observing Bihar from the outside. Also, in the sense, from national politics perspective, he's of course been there studying this entire election process and has been viewing Bihar from an outsider's perspective. To get an outsider's perspective on Bihar, Veera Raghav is here, and to get an insider's perspective on Bihar, we have Sanjeev Singh, who of course claims to be from UP but is actually from Bihar as well. So that is probably something you didn't know about Sanjeev, but Sanjeev of course is a consultant editor here at India Post Live. We're also joined, we'll also be joined by a host of people on Skype as well, and you can also join in the conversation via Skype or Google Hangout if you wish to do so. Sanjeev, but explain Nitish Kumar's move as far as the resignation is concerned.
Well, I think the writing was on the wall. Ever since JDU and BJP decided to part ways, there was a lot of, internal talk amongst the MLAs that this is not the right decision and it will harm the JDU politically. And that is what we've seen, the kind of alliance that the BJP stitched up with the RLSP and LJP. It was pretty clear which way, the results were headed. And now with the possibility of a lot of JDU MLAs wanting to switch sides or just trying to vent their anger against Nitish Kumar, I think Nitish really didn't have much of an option. It was either he would be forced out or it's better to resign. So I think he's taken the, easy way out of going there and resigning, but the writing was clearly on the wall as far as Nitish Kumar is concerned.
All right, we are from a national perspective. Nitish Kumar was somebody who was viewed with another alternate development model to that of Narendra Modi. But yesterday's verdict, does that mean that the Nitish Kumar model, the man who really made Bihar from a Bimaru state to what it is right now, a state on the road to recovery, as many would call it, as that model has been sidelined, or do you think Nitish Kumar could reinvent himself?
Not to take away from the seriousness of the debate that you are having, frankly, I have very little knowledge of Bihar. I come from a part of the country where we've always heard about Bihar, but now increasingly we are in touch with Bihar, which is the south of India, because you have several people from Bihar who have been migrating towards the south of India. Now, given that point of view, as a complete non-entity, non-understanding, ordinary citizen of South India, with that impression of Bihar, and that's the only way I'm going to talk about it. What I can't understand is that we all grew up at one point of time in our lives with Lalu Prasad Yadav as the image of Bihar. A corrupt state which was driven by caste politics, which could not come up with development, where poverty was abject. And then suddenly we had this image of Nitish Kumar. And over 5 years, we've been told by the media, purely as a citizen who hasn't followed, that this is a state which is on a growth track. This is a state which has been transformed. And then he wins another election. And it's seen as a growth track and a major development model, and it's really succeeded. Now suddenly the BJP-JDU alliance collapses. And until that point of time, in every editorial that I've read, whether it's in Economic Times or anyone else, it was Nitish's model versus Modi's model. And Nitish was considered this powerful anti-Modi. He was the pillar of the anti-Modi debate in Indian politics. Now, what happens suddenly that the BJP goes out and a person like Nitish Kumar, who has had claims of development, completely collapses? Is it because that there is urbanization? I wouldn't know why, but it would be extremely interesting for me as an outsider to find out, was it all just hype about Nitish Kumar? Why did it collapse? Is it economic reasons? In fact, is the entire broader mandate today economic reasons? Or is it just anti-Congressism? And, what is this Modi wave, which is different from state to state? And how has it worked in Bihar? I mean, I'm really puzzled by the fact that Nitish Kumar over 6 months becomes irrelevant in Bihar.
All right, in fact, let's put that question to a voice from Bihar. Mr. Kanhaiya Bellary joins us. He's a senior journalist and has been very closely observing the developments over there. Sir, what would you explain this, just to answer Veera's outsider's perspective point of view? What has happened with Nitish Kumar? Is it a strategy as far as Nitish Kumar is concerned to sort of reinvent himself, try to, or ensure that his party does not break up given the kind of verdict we saw yesterday?
I will describe Bihar scenario with a शायरी. वक्त की चाल है अजब प्यारे, पल में प्यादे वजीर बनते हैं और एक जरा सी गलती पर शहजादे फकीर बनते हैं. The mistake Nitish Kumar committed by severing ties with BJP, it cost him. And you know, I am hearing you all, he has done a lot for Bihar, a lot for Bihar. In fact, he dragged Bihar out of Jungle Raj. But he solely, has been dependent on his development work. जब तक डेवलपमेंट में कास्ट का तड़का नहीं लगेगा, he will not be able to win the elections. But this time, there was polarization, and the moment the people of upper caste, extremely backward caste, and the people belonging to his caste came to know, and they saw that Muslims are not voting in favor of our chief minister, then they shifted their vote to BJP to teach a severe lesson to the Muslims. That is what happened in Bihar.
So you are saying that means that he means that there is no real Modi wave. In sense, this is not an endorsement or an enchantment with Modi. It's not as if that the Nitish economic model has failed, but it's purely caste and communal driven wave in Bihar.
Is that what you're saying, Mr. Bellary?
Modi wave. I have not seen there anywhere Modi wave. Yes, upper caste people were with Modi because the upper caste people in Bihar have never been with Nitish Kumar or Lalu Prasad Yadav. They came with Nitish Kumar because the BJP joined hand with Nitish Kumar some 17 years back. So they are mentally with BJP, have been with the BJP. So when BJP came with Nitish Kumar, the upper caste people came. When the BJP, Nitish Kumar ways to BJP, they went back to the BJP. This time what happened? After Nitish Kumar severed ties with the BJP, he was thinking that he had calculated that the extremely backward caste, who constitute around 32% of total votes in Bihar, and 17% of Muslims will support him. But that didn't take place because the Muslims shifted to Lalu Prasad Yadav and extremely backward caste. They fragmented. Some votes went to Nitish Kumar, some went to
All right,
BJP.
Sanjeev wanted to come in. Sanjeev, go ahead.
No, I'd just like to add to what Kanhaiya sir was saying. I'll give you a small example of a seat in Maharajganj that's next to Saran, from where Lalu's wife is contesting. There were two upper caste candidates. There were two Rajput candidates. One was Prabhunath Singh, who was contesting on a RJD ticket, and you had Janardhan Singh Sigriwal on a BJP ticket. What Mr. Kanhaiya is saying is right, that there was massive upper caste consolidation. But you see, at the end of the day, somewhere, that the undercurrent of minority appeasement, that message, BJP was able to drive that message down amongst the Hindu community. And that is why we see, where you have two candidates, both strong in their own fields, both from the same community, yet, everyone decides to vote in favor of the BJP.
I want to ask Sanjeev, it is just fascinating that you're speaking so much about caste, but if a state is developed, and I'm talking purely from other states' point of view, caste is one factor, but it's often not the overriding factor. It's not the only overriding factor in an election, right? People's aspirations are the same for a poor man, whichever caste they are from. But is Bihar then so caste conscious that it's only overriding caste factor, or is it the fact that the Modi model appeared to be, if I can use the word, sexier than the Nitish Kumar model of growth? Was it sold better to the people? I mean, is it more aspirational compared to the Nitish Kumar model? Did that add to the caste factor? That's all I wanted to understand.
Okay. I think you should bring in Kanhaiya.
All right, Kanhaiya sir, you want to respond to that? Is as far as the models were concerned, taking off from what Veera said?
Pardon?
What Veera had said about the models of development, about whether the Modi model seemed a little bit sexier, the dream was sold better in terms of the aspirational model, and is Bihar that caste-ridden that these kind of models of development really do not matter anymore, and it's ultimately vote banks and bases that matter?
For Bihar, Nitish model is fit, not Modi model. Nitish Kumar has been doing his work at micro level.
But then the results seem completely different. They do not seem to be an endorsement of that.
See, I went to Chhapra. I had gone there 10 years ago. Now you have roads, you have electricity. There was no electricity when I had gone. People are really happy with the kind of work Nitish Kumar has done. Yet, when it came to this election, they all voted for the BJP. So, I mean, it's an oxymoron.
So is it, Sanjeev, then that Nitish's model brought us to where we are, but to go from where we are to further, I need the Modi model?
No, I mean, I think that whenever we have an assembly election, we will see Nitish Kumar actually doing well because he has done work in the
All right,
state.
in fact, let's put out those graphics for you, Lavin. If you could play out those graphics of about the present seat share in the Gujarat Assembly, in the Bihar Assembly, and also the graphics about what happened yesterday in Bihar as far as the results are concerned. So this is the vote share of the various parties, and you can see the BJP getting a substantial chunk, almost 30% of the vote.
Yeah, see, that is because, I mean, as Kanhaiya sir was saying, the fact that, earlier JDU and BJP used to contest together. Now what's happened is that ever since the severance of the ties, the upper caste, which normally used to be with the BJP, and it used to help the JDU get those number of seats because the EBCs used to add to it and a section of the Muslims used to add to it. So what it's happened is that it's just split into half. And all these smaller castes, because of the kind of combination, the coalition that the BJP had, they had 2 to 3% of Kushwahas coming in, they had 2 to 3% of Paswans coming in, plus the polarizing figure of Narendra Modi. All that helped, get that 29% vote share, because that's almost adding about 9% vote share more to the BJP than what they had in the previous election.
But then still, I think what we easily established is all about caste over there.
No, I'm not able to understand. I understand, because Andhra Pradesh is an extremely caste-ridden state. Tamil Nadu has caste-based parties just like Bihar is. And I think India, overall, caste is a serious issue in the sense that people do identify on caste. Take a Deva Gowda, for instance. He is forming on a Vokkaliga caste base. Now, I'm just trying to understand if economic progress offsets caste identities to a particular level, or is it purely only on caste lines that people are voting, or as Sanjeev was saying, that in the assembly elections Nitish Kumar is going to come back, which means that we're okay, this is not a parliamentary election, we don't want Nitish Kumar in Delhi.
Because who are the options?
So did people then vote for, then has the Indian voter matured to such an extent that he's very clear that I don't mind choosing a Modi model for India, but I want a Nitish model for myself in Bihar?
See, there is no Modi model as far as Bihar is concerned. As Kanhaiya sir was saying, there is a Nitish model that has worked. When you have an assembly election, you have to look at the options. I mean, apart from Nitish Kumar, who is the other face? You have Lalu Yadav, who practically did nothing. And the BJP does not have a face as yet because, there is no model that they have. And the reason why we've seen the BJP do so well is a lot of other factors, apart from, polarizing the voters, the kind of high-pitched campaign that we've seen. We've also seen a clever strategy of social engineering by the BJP. You've seen that in UP, BSP has drawn a blank. Why? Why has that happened? That's because of the kind of social engineering that is added to the polarized campaign, which has helped them do that. And that is why what my fear is, that if you have an election so soon, if you have an assembly election in Bihar so soon, maybe the polarizing effect can still harm chances of the JDU. And if that happens, that is going to be, I would consider it as, a sort of tragedy for Nitish Kumar because he has done so much of work in the past 10 years.
All right, Kanhaiya Bellary, what does Nitish Kumar intend to do? What does he do from here? When do we see elections perhaps happening, or what is this Nitish Kumar's strategy from here on?
ब्रह्मास्त्र छोड़ा है, you know, उन्होंने ब्रह्मास्त्र छोड़ा है,
जी।
and in assembly elections he will be bouncing back, no doubt, because the same voter. I have also spoken to some of the Muslim leaders there. They are repenting for supporting UPA. In fact, what happened in Bihar, the media all of a sudden started writing, and this visual media, my combination has come back, my combination is getting stronger, and this rumor, you know, scared the Hindus. Among the ABC, there was, the BJP forces succeeded in spreading that this Modi is from EBC. वो हावड़ा में चाय बेचता था, इसलिए देखिए, this time it is for the first time a person from our samaj, from our caste, our community is going to hold the big chair, big executive chair in the nation. It worked well. That is why Nitish lost, and Nitish failed to, success comes from this development plus caste consideration is equal to success. But he didn't work out on caste combination, and he solely depended on development. The man who really developed the state, it is very difficult to come out from the house to move
Right.
around after the sunset. This
Yes.
man.
In perceptions, Bihar certainly has changed. I mean, that is what I think we all agree on, from the outsider's perspective to the insider's perspective. But Sanjeev, as you were saying, it's not all that easy for Nitish Kumar. So, I mean, it could go easily wrong as well. And you could see the other Modi, Sushil Modi, come into Bihar and become perhaps chief minister.
Yeah, you see, actually, at the time when Nitish Kumar decided to part ways with the BJP, he must have carefully thought. He could have carried on the government without the support of the BJP for 3.5 years after he won in 2010. But the reason why he carried BJP was because he thought that if at all there are chances of NDA coming to power, then he could be one of the prime ministerial candidates. But of course, when Narendra Modi's name was announced, clearly he didn't have much of an option, and he had to see whether he was willing to take the risk and get decimated in a Lok Sabha election and have some sort of hope of coming back in the assembly elections, rather than go with the BJP and become second fiddle and then lose out in the assembly election. So he had to bear the brunt at some point of time. So I think he chose to let it go in the general elections so that he could save himself in the assembly elections. Now what we are going to see, as Kanhaiya sir was saying, if the minorities solidly back Nitish Kumar, the EBCs which were earlier with Nitish Kumar and who've migrated to the BJP,
EBCs,
economically backward castes.
Okay, so
the EBCs which have migrated either to Lalu Yadav because he was looking to be the force that could actually take on the BJP, or people who've fallen for the Modi dream and gone there. These forces will rally and come together, and that will be the chunk that will support the JDU. So he's banking on that factor. If that actually happens for him, plus the other thing of choosing between Lalu Yadav or Sushil Modi, I think people will prefer to have Nitish Kumar because he has done work. So that's the gamble he's taken. The only negative thing that I see is if the polarization effect still takes time to go away, only that can harm him. Otherwise, I don't see any problem in him trying to make a successful comeback.
All right, so it might be a masterstroke yet to be seen, but what does this mean for politics at a national scale? Does it mean that in other states where there are forces other than the BJP in power, they've also lost the mandate?
I think these elections need to be seen very purely, and through this studio discussions you've heard. One of the troubles with the pro-Modi and the anti-Modi voices is neither one is objective about their point of view. They're all taken over by emotions. I would believe that these elections need to be seen as one election, which was different reasons in different states, which were managed well. There were BJP-ruled states in Western India where there was a wave. There was possibly a wave in Uttar Pradesh, and the factors that we discussed contributing to a victory in Bihar, I wouldn't know. And in the south of India, there are states where there was a possible Modi effect. And there were states where there were other factors which resulted in it. For instance, in a Seemandhra, Naidu mattered more than Modi. Ultimately, I think the overall impression has been that there was a complete disgust with the Congress. I remember a driver from Pudukkottai in Shivaganga, for instance, Karthi Chidambaram, was fighting to save his deposit. P. Chidambaram's son was fighting to save his deposit from a constituency where his father has been returned to parliament for the last 6 terms. And so that shows the kind of anti-Congress feeling. And that driver from Shivaganga district in Chennai told me, we don't understand Modi model. He speaks in Hindi. But we know that the Congress model hasn't worked and we don't see another model that is there. So frankly, I think these elections were an anti-Congress wave. To believe that this is a tectonic shift, as Sanjeev and Kanhaiya sir are pointing out, that assembly elections could have a completely different story. And I think we need to accept that before overrating what has happened.
All right, but then there would be pressure. But at the end of the day, for example, on a government like the Uttarakhand government, where it's been a complete sweep and it was very precariously balanced over there. Could we see
Maharashtra.
Maharashtra going
is a
to the
classic
polls in
example.
any case? But with Uttarakhand, where the elections were recently held, and a few seats here and there could completely change things. Do we see more states turning BJP? Do we see more parties almost being broken up? Because with Nitish Kumar, the factor was that there could be a break within the JDU as well, wanting to go over to the BJP.
See, there could be a cascading effect. Bihar is just the first state. You have Delhi, that is under President's rule. You know, there also we had heard that, you know, a lot of AAP MLAs are unhappy with the way Kejriwal has gone about the election. You have Uttarakhand, where the Congress and BJP are evenly placed. We've seen senior leader of the Congress, Satpal Maharaj, shift to the BJP just before the Lok Sabha elections. The UKD holds the key because they are supporting the government. You know, they could also, you know, just go with the tide. So you have Uttarakhand, you have Delhi, you have Bihar, then you have elections in Haryana, you have elections in Maharashtra. So, you know, that could have a cascading effect. So, I mean, you know, that's why, you know, the game is wide open right now. States where you don't have to go to polls, yes, maybe.
We'll have to see the states where Amit Shah goes now. Wherever Amit Shah goes. But tell me, are Nitish Kumar and Narendra Modi like Jayalalitha and Karunanidhi? They can't ever come together? Or is it over?
I remember Nitish Kumar, Narendra Modi holding Nitish Kumar's
If
hand in the
Ramvilas
Ludhiana rally last
Ramvilas Paswan can go to the BJP and
if you see Irani's...
I think Kanhaiya sir will be the best person to answer that question. But, you know, if that was the case, then in 2010, Nitish could not have prevailed upon the BJP High Command not to send Modi to campaign in Bihar. But I think, you know, he should be the best person to answer that.
Kanhaiya sir, what would your take be?
Because Nitish Kumar will not go back to, will shake hand with the BJP. He will prefer to die than shaking hand with the BJP.
Will you at least shake hands with Sushil Kumar Modi? Again?
Sushil Kumar Modi is aspiring to become the Chief Minister of Bihar.
So he may well have to shake hands. At least to say bye-bye.
Kanhaiya sir, I mean, I want to ask you a question. I mean, going by the way, you know, the BJP has swept the Lok Sabha elections in Bihar, can we see a sort of, you know, the rallying together of all the socialist forces in the state? And I mean, you know, is there a possibility of Lalu and Nitish coming together to stop this saffron wave?
And maybe Devagowda also join.
Some of the leaders in Bihar have started taking these initiatives, but Nitish knows it well, and the political observers are of the view on this development. Once Lalu and Nitish come together, again there will be polarization. You know, there is possibility of polarization because Lalu Prasad Yadav is still hatred man for upper caste people. And a lot of people, you can see if you go to Bihar, you will find some of the people among the upper caste who have pressured for Nitish government. And you ask why didn't they vote for Nitish? They will say, if we vote for Nitish Kumar, he will help in forming the Congress government in center. So we are fed up with the Congress due to certain reasons. This was also one of the reasons behind Nitish poor defeat.
You know, I was just asking both of you very briefly, I'm just wondering to you as well. yesterday the Congress statement was that Sonia Gandhi, Manishankar Iyer wrote an article in one of the papers which I read that after Sonia Gandhi offered to resign, that she will have to be there for the sake of secularism. Now the word secularism can be a huge unifier in Indian politics, considering the fact that all regional satraps, including ones who won 37 seats, are extremely upset with the BJP getting more than 272. So, do you believe a large secular coalition that comes up in the next 2 years?
I mean,
And the Congress heading it?
I don't
It's
see
still
that. I
too
don't see
early.
that happening
It's
because
still too
the
early.
wave against the Congress, I mean, that
Plus the-
anti-Congressism is too
I
much
think even
right
the
now.
BJP is
The
still
numbers-
recovering from the numbers.
Their top expectation was to 230.
the arithmetic also, will not allow them to come together because there's no point. I mean, it's like fielding 5 players against a team of 11. So,
I think everybody would want to go on their own. I mean, they wouldn't want the baggage of another Congress. I mean, this time I thought everybody who was seemingly even associated with the Congress lost. Look at the DMK in Tamil Nadu.
Look at the DMK and JDU as he's pointing out.
All right. On that note, we'll wrap it up over here. So, is it Nitish Kumar's masterstroke or not? You can tell us. You can use Twitter, Facebook, any other forms of social media you want to use to get in touch with us. So, go to IndiaPostLive.com and leave a comment. Mr. Kanaya Bellary, thank you very much for coming in. It was a pleasure to have you, Veera and Sanjeev, in the studio as well. All right. On that note, that's it on this conversation. But the conversations, of course, continue right here.